Man in the box. Man in the box. Welcome to Grunge Radio. The outlaw of the media, Michael Savage. The man who was banned from everywhere but this microphone. Pretty amazing. I was on a great show this morning. I had not heard of it. He's a great guy, Mr. Arroyo, Raymond Arroyo, of a cable show out of Washington that goes out around the world as a Catholic radio show. I was told he was the last man to interview Jerry Lewis, one of my heroes, but he drew me out in ways that I was amazed. You know, I was talking about God, faith, and reason. Here are some of the topics that are banging around inside my cruller. It's odd to me, why are the same pseudos who are defending Judge Moore around the clock salivating as they read the unfounded claims against Charlie Rose? Shall I repeat that for those of you who can't reason? Why are the same pseudos in the media who pose as conservatives and defenders of traditional values, why are they defending Judge Moore, calling the women every name under the sun, while they salivate on the air as they read the unfounded accusations against Charlie Rose? I think it speaks to their characters, their credentials, and their credibility. Let me remind you that J'accuse occurred during the French Revolution, and it never ended until almost everyone had faced the guillotine. Where it ends, I don't know. I have no idea who's going to get it next. Who's the next white moose to get it? These are some of the ideas that I have today. I was in a bookstore last night, a local Barnes & Noble, where I live in the area. I won't name it. Great chain. They have my book everywhere. But the manager of this store, let us say, was a clipped-haired, mean-faced woman. I asked, where's God, faith, and reason? She had to look it up on the computer. It wasn't with bestsellers. It wasn't with new releases. Why, it was in the back under Christian books. Now, I have nothing against Christian books, but if this book is not placed where it belongs, up front in all the bookstores, it is a conspiracy to silence the message. That's all it is. So I want to talk about a number of topics today. I'm all over the place today. I feel great because it's near my favorite holiday of the year. And although you probably think that I'm such a grunge, that I'd be alone in front of a television over the weekend, all 4 days alone, eating a Swanson's TV dinner on a folding tray, which doesn't sound so bad, actually, when I think about it. It actually sounds like a reprieve if I get a couple of Swansons in the freezer. Comes with a little cherry pie in it. But I'm not going to be in front of a TV tray. I'm having friends and family come in, and we're going to go to one of my favorite local restaurants and just have a dinner together and then go to Chinese. Of course, Chinese Friday. That was the deal. Okay, we'll go to your restaurant for the turkey and the this and the that. Only if you agree to go to Chinese on Friday. I said, I hate China. I don't want to go there. I don't want to drive over the bridge. I don't want to go to that slop joint again. They said, you're going. I said, I'm not eating that. I can't eat that crap anymore. I can't take it. It is so full of sodium and grease. I'll go and I'll eat it. What are you going to do? That's the trade-off. The trade-off is if I want the Thanksgiving friendliness of the family and friends, I've got to go over the bridge on Friday and Sunday. Friday and do the Chinese thing. That's what they want. What are you going to do? Everyone comes out holding their guts, gagging on the food. Mom gets prison for son's senseless death from strep throat. I put it up on michaelsavage.com because I thought it was very important to talk about because I'm a natural healer, but I know my limits, and I know the limits of natural healing. A Canadian mom has been sentenced to 3 years in prison after her little 7-year-old son was suffering from a severe strep throat, died because she wouldn't take him to a doctor. Tamara Lovett of Calgary was found guilty in January of criminal negligence causing death in the passing of her son, Ryan. You see, the woman said that she did not want him to be treated with antibiotics. So when the little boy developed a strep infection that left him bedridden in 2013, the mom tried to treat him using home remedies of dandelion tea and oil of oregano for 10 days, and then the poor kid died. Let me tell you something. There are limits to alternative medicine, and that's where modern medicine comes into play. I opened up this book, Healing Children Naturally, because I told you about it yesterday. What happened was I wrote it in 1982. I found used copies going for $100 on the internet, so I reprinted it and put it up on michaelsavage.com to try and help young mothers, young fathers with their children. And I said, what did I actually say about strep throat? Well, guess what? It's very consistent with what I just read to you. Under sore throat, I wrote the following after telling you that, the alternatives you could use, which is, vitamin C powder, keeping them warm, lots of liquids, soft diet, But I said, if the condition gets worse or doesn't improve, the pediatrician will be consulted on the third day. And then I added this: sore throat accompanied by fever and convulsions is never for home treatment, and your child should be taken to the hospital if this combination of symptoms appears. So don't think that I'm just a wackadoodle, natural healer kind of guy. I know where it ends. When it doesn't work, you go right to the mainstream doctor. But I give herbal preparations for this and other illnesses to look at, and diets for children. Also diets for prospective mothers, diets to reverse things, as I mentioned to you yesterday, postpartum depression. There's so much that's been lost in our development as a civilization, but a lot of it is fabulous stuff. Healing Children Naturally by Michael Savage. It's on my website, michaelsavage.com, hopefully for the health of the children. We've gone from a nation of laws to a nation of claws, from a nation of laws to a nation of claws, where the pseudos defend Judge Moore, saying the women are nothing but harlots, while they salivate in the next breath as they read the unfounded accusations against Charlie Rose. Now, I don't know Judge Moore, and I don't know Charlie Rose. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, we tried to get Judge Moore on this show before he was accused, am I right? And he refused to come on the show, am I right? Huh? The great Judge Moore, but I didn't attack him. Charlie Rose never reached out to me. He's supposed to be the big intellectual of our time. Yeah, right. As long as you were one of the left-wing fanatics, you're on Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose would have benefited from a conversation with me. He might have learned something, but he was a closed shop. It was only open to those in the New York Hollywood galaxy. But still, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon and attacking Charlie Rose. I don't know if the women are telling the truth with the shower, with the naked, with the this, with the... I don't know. Where is it going to end? I thought we're a nation of laws, not a nation of claws. You know what I want to do right now? I think I have a few minutes to begin. First of all, I'm giving you my phone number, michaelsavage.com. That's not the phone number. Oh, the phone number is 855-400-SAVAGE. I'm a little giddy. I always get this way before Thanksgiving. I feel so liberated. To me, it's already the end of the year. The book came out last week. It's doing well. The holidays here. My favorite holiday is always Thanksgiving. I remember being in college. Oh, that's tomorrow. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving was always my favorite day of the whole year. To this day, I remember going to Queens College in the city of New York. And on that Wednesday, before the Thanksgiving break, I distinctly remember what I did every Wednesday during those years at Queens College. I drove one of my muscle cars that made too much noise to a liquor store across the street from the college. I bought a pony of booze, and I got drunk with my friends. That's what I did. I don't do that anymore because I'm a wise, mature man. But it always symbolized to me. I can remember those cold, cold nights in New York with the motor running on the old Jag, the smoke coming out of the back. Those are great nights. Well, I'm still a car nut. I'm not the same person I was, or am I? In some ways, I am still the same person. Do you know that? I haven't changed. I haven't changed. I'm thinking about my life. I'm really actually, people say, well, what am I off the air? About the same as I'm on the air, incidentally. No two-face for me. So I've been preaching my faith of Borders, language, and culture for years, almost a quarter of a century, on this nationally syndicated radio show of mine, Borders, Language, and Culture. When the Johnnies come lately didn't even know about the borders, nor the language, nor the culture. Then they came along and imitated, aped, mocked, ridiculed while copying. And a quarter of a century later, now even liberals are saying to me, Savage, in the beginning I thought you were a bad guy for preaching Borders, language, and culture, and now even liberals agree that you were right. You were ahead of the curve. I've heard that from liberals, good liberals. I'm not talking about the ones who throw rocks, the ones who beat people up. We're not talking about the thugs who should be in prison in Antifa. We're talking about liberals who now agree that Borders, language, and culture define a nation. I'm telling you how it is, The phone number here is 855-400-7282. I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I may play a little sound from various shows I was on. I may not. I may read again from Healing Children Naturally. I may read from God, Faith, and Reason. And by the way, while I'm on God, Faith, and Reason, can you call me with your favorite section? I did a good thing yesterday on the show. I don't know how. A guy called from New York, an Orthodox Jewish guy, Avi, and he said he discovered God even though he was religious when his father was dying of cancer. I thought it was one of the most wonderful interactions I've had in a long time on this program. And I know many people are listening to this show right now from New York to San Francisco. I know it for a fact, obviously. The audience is smaller than normal. That's what happens this time of year. People are gone. They're on the road. They're whatever they're ever doing. They're in the air. They're on the car. They're this or that. And they're traveling. And so the audience is lower than it would normally be for myself and everyone else in the business. But there's still an audience out there listening and wanting to communicate. So if you want to do so, we're open for business on the program on all these topics and more. I'm not ready for a break, though. I feel like talking. Well, I'm a talker. It's called talk radio. I was born with the gift of gab. And then I was given the opportunity of advanced education, and I took it. And so here I am. I'll be back. It is the Savage Nation. Can the truth really get out? Can a book about God, faith, and reason beat the odds of the fanatical liberals who run bookstores who are burying it in the back of the store? I don't know. Sometimes you think if the word is strong enough, it'll beat the odds even of the mean-faced folks who belonged in the French Revolution cutting people's heads off. But they're burying it. I know that. I'm getting reports across the landscape right now. As I told you, I went to my local bookstore. A real prize doll last night said, I can't find the book. Then she found it in Religious Inspirational. It's not paid to be. The company bought upfront placement on the bestsellers and new releases. And the bookstore managers are taking upon themselves to bury this book. They hate God. Do you understand that? They want God out of the bookstores. Just as they wanted God out of the schools. And they took down the Ten Commandments. Just as they took down the Ten Commandments monuments. They do not want a book called God, Faith, and Reason in the front of a bookstore. It's liable to stop people from their dementia of pursuing the wrong path. What can I tell you? That's it. You want me to get really angry? I won't. I'm past anger. What do I need anger for? I do blow up. I have a very hot temper. I wonder if that ever ends. I'm thinking about that. I've always been a hot-tempered guy. Actually, when I was young, I wasn't hot-tempered. When I was a little boy, I was very thoughtful, and nothing really angered me. I would sit and build models and play with stuff. My father thought there was something wrong with me because I wasn't angry. And so he used to start, I'm remembering now on air, should I do this? No. People say they love my childhood stories. Maybe it's too personal. Certain things, I drift. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Nod. You know the word he was nodding off, right? Junkies used to say he nodded off. Where do you think the word nod came from? I love the colloquialisms. People don't even know he nodded off and dwelt in the land of Nod in the east of Eden. That means he was cast out of heaven. Nodding off has so many different meanings. So he said to me, Michael, he said, an oyster produces a pearl only when it is irritated. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, they take an oyster and they irritate the oyster with a metal something or other. And then the oyster in the irritation creates calcium around the irritation, and that's the pearl. I said, so what are you saying to me? There he was, old Dad, sticking that little thing into me to create the pearls of wisdom that I give you every day. He did the right thing when you think about it. Otherwise, I'd be mush. You gotta push kids. Otherwise, they're mush. They don't, I love your thing. Oh, leave them alone. Let them develop into what they are. What are they going to develop into what they are with society that tells them God is dead? And if you feel like being a girl, be a girl. If you feel like a girl wants to be a boy, be a boy. Hate your parents, hate the church, hate the synagogue, hate the school, hate America, hate the anthem. What do you think they're going to become unless you teach them something? See, I just got angry. Thank you, Dad. I mean, it's still in there, but what are you going to do? Let your child just feel his way through life? Be a nice feeling child? I'm not saying punish the child for nothing, but you got to give him guidance. What I'm saying to you is so absurd in some ways because the Chinese know this. When in China, they cultivate the Mr. Rogers School of Child Rearing. If it feels good, honey, do it. They got the tiger moms for a reason. What do you think they got tiger moms for? Why do you think so many Asian kids succeed at the greatest schools in America? Because they're pushed to succeed. Listen to that garbage about let him experiment and feel what he feels. If the kid comes home with 4 out of 6 A's, the mother says, what happened to you with the others? Why'd you get a B+? They're not the only culture like that, but that's why they're such an exceptional culture. Because they push the children. Our stupid society. The same people who are burying God, faith, and reason want to bury child rearing and turn them into easily molded specimens of humanity. See, I didn't think I'd go there, but okay, I'm going there. Brock on KKOH in Reno, line 8, fire away. You're on the Savage Nation.
Hey, Michael, I just thought you would take pleasure in finding that I went to my local Barnes & Nobles here in Reno, Nevada, and I, too, found your book back in the religious and inspirational section where it shouldn't have been. So I took it upon myself to take 5 copies of your grand book and put them on each of the coffee tables in the front of the store.
Good. That's where it belongs. I want everybody in America to commit a revolution. I want rebellion in America. I want everyone listening to this show to go into your local bookstore who has buried this book and put it in the front where it belongs with new releases and bestsellers. How's that? And I'll take the heat for it. I'm not going to let these mean communists in the bookstores, these little Madame Defarges, destroy my life's work. Grunge music. As I wander in the wilderness of the media, I have to thank God for everything I have. Sometimes I get angry. And then I say, don't get angry. You have more than most people. Be thankful for what you have. And I do, and I feel better. It's that simple. I'm getting reports from around the country right now on this nationally syndicated radio show of mine, almost a quarter of a century. The audience is big. Costco buried the book in the back. Book being delegated in Barnes & Noble to Religious Inspirational in the back. Book being put behind pillars in the stores. There is an orchestrated burial of God, faith, and reason by the brigades of America-hating clerks. And you have the power, as my army, to go in and commit rebellion. I'm telling you right now, this book does not belong back in the store. It belongs in the front. It is a new release. The publisher paid for upfront placement. Go put it where it belongs. And tell them Michael Savage sent you. God, faith, and reason. Okay, so now we're going to move on. Yesterday I did a show where I asked you to share their insights about what changed your life. And a guy called Daniel, and he said, from ABC, he said, I was impacted by Savage's reflections on witnessing the birth of my children. And I said to you yesterday, for men reading this book, think back to when your first child was born. Think about what it was like to be in that delivery room when your child came into this world. I've spoken to men who've told me it changed their lives forever. That's when a man becomes a different person. He may have been a tough guy before, but he's a different man afterwards. It was a great show, by the way. I touched a lot of people who then touched me. I felt so good after the show because it was a show that had meaning. It was not just about Roy Moore and the news and this and that. God bless people if they want to just do the news. I don't do the news. I do a little more insight. And I believe this book, God, Faith, and Reason, no matter how it may sell or not sell, is the beginning of a new beginning for Michael Savage. This is the road I'm going down. I'm going down an inspirational path, and I'm not coming back because God's already pushed me down the road. God led me here. God's going to open things up for me right now. The way I told you, doors were originally open for me after I prayed to get into radio, and it came slowly. I'm telling you as I sit here, if I should survive, and I hope I do for a long time to come, doors in the inspirational world are going to open to me. They're not open yet. They will open to me. This book was the first portal into that world, and that's where I want to go. There are people who can do news shows. God bless them. But they can't do this show. Only I can do it. Well, I'm one of the few, not the only. There are people who do it, but that's where I'm going. I have a whole vision for this, an inspirational show. Okay, let's take some calls and stop the hogwash. 855-407-282. ABC, New York City. ABC, New York City, 770 on the dial. You know, I was on the Larry Kudlow show this last weekend, so he's on Saturday mornings. He got big ratings. And Larry and I got along great. But when I was listening to the traffic report before I went on the air, when you're a guest, they put you on hold, and then you have to listen through the whole stop set. So there's like traffic. Well, the Queensboro Bridge is backed up. Blah, 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 blah. The traffic's backed up on the LIE, the Brooklyn. I got so nostalgic for my hometown. I haven't been back in so long. I don't even go to New York anymore. It's funny. Do I miss it? I miss the memory of New York. I don't miss the being pushed off the subway platform part of the New York of today. I don't miss the homeless with box cutters part of New York of today. I don't miss the anti-white hatred of the New York of today. I kind of have a black and white memory of New York when my mother could walk to the corner to Deitch Dairy with a little roller thing and get some groceries at 10 o'clock at night and no one touched her. That kind of time when the police were all powerful, big strapping cops with nightsticks. If you looked at them the wrong way, they took you behind the station and gave you a shellacking. They kept the kids in line. That New York. You know the one I'm talking about. You got to get a memory of that one. So, you can't go home again. I'm home. I'm home. Wherever I am, I'm home. I'm wherever I am, I'm home. It doesn't matter where I am. I'm home. I'm the same person wherever I am. As long as the air is clean, and I should fill in the rest, but I can't. It's a family show. As long as the air is clean, I'm good. I'm good. I'm in a weird mood. I could talk now for 5 hours. I could feel it coming on. I've been up so early. I did 2 shows before this one today. 9 a.m. I was interviewed by Alexander Marlowe of Breitbart for his show on Sirius. Then at 10:30 in the morning, I did a show with Raymond Arroyo on his religious show, television. I enjoyed that. Now I'm doing this. I could do 5 hours. I don't know where it comes from. Israel, line 4. Welcome to the program. What's on your mind from New York City?
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Savage. Nice to talk to you again. Okay, so in regards to what you were saying about the God, I'm as a religious Jew, we pray 3 times a day. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't connect, even though whether it be religious, brought up religious, and they just don't see God on a daily basis. I mean, it's hard, because the hustle and bustle. But there was a great rabbi who passed away many years ago, and he was very blunt, and he gave a lot of rebuke to people. And he would say, just on a daily basis, he says, just think about God for 1 second out of the day. And then when you think about God for 1 second, then you'll start to think about him a little bit more. And he's there. We don't see him, but he's there.
I agree. That's truly why I wrote the book, is I want people, the word God, to be put in bookstores so people start thinking about the fact that there is a God, that there's not just Maimon up there running the country.
That's correct, yeah. And there isn't somebody,
Israel, it's an interesting call you're making. I'm not a religious man, and I was on this Catholic television show today, and he said to me, you're a man who's not really religious, and yet you wrote a book about religion. How does that work? He put me right on the spot, but he did it in a nice way. And I said, I learned from a mystical Jewish teacher that the man who was not religious, the man who does not go to church or synagogue every day, but the man who actually feels God is in some ways more religious than the man who pretends through the rituals to feel God, or seeks to feel God through the rituals and doesn't feel him. And he said, if you feel him, then you are in many ways more spiritually aware than they are.
Yeah, I can't say better than that.
And that's not knocking the man who prays 3 times a day. I so respect you guys. My grandfather Samuel is buried in Queens, New York. And I had 2 rabbis who are in New York right now. I said, would you go to my grandfather's grave, and would you make a prayer over his grave? I just was feeling this strongly. And they could not find Samuel's grave, who we call the astronaut of the family. He came over as an immigrant from Russia without a penny in his pocket. He worked until he had a heart attack and died. And then along came my father. My father was an immigrant. So, I never met my grandfather, but I wanted them to make a prayer for him and to thank him. And they couldn't find him in the cemetery. They couldn't find the grave. And then at the end of the second day, they found it, and they sent me a picture. It was so overwhelming to me to see this gravestone in this old cemetery. I can't even describe what it did to me. But they made the prayer over that grave. And what I'm saying to you is this, and I'll say it so people finally hear me. Although I myself am not a very religious man, it is the religious people amongst us who keep the whole shebang going. Were it not for the religious people, we would have nothing. We would have lost God a long time ago. And I want to thank every religious person listening to this show for what they do every day to keep God alive in our society and in our hearts.
Yes, and I would like to add...
I thank you, and I got to move on because I'm going to start to get too much into Billy the Preacher. Maybe I should do Billy the Preacher. Maybe if I did a Billy the Preacher, people would like me more. 855-407-28 to the time is a flying. Where do you want me to go today? Where do you want me to take you? I know many of you are calling about where the book is buried. That's okay. I got the message. Thank you from Steve on ABC and Marcel on KSFO. But let's move on. Let's go to Diane in New York City on WABC. Line 5, Diane, what's on your mind?
I have waited all my life to speak to you, which is the best present. I wanted to tell you that I'm giving your book to my therapist, and I hope she enjoys it.
Wow.
That's right. I wrote an email to you many, many years ago saying, I wish you were part of my family, but I feel after all these years that you are part of my family.
I'm part of a huge radio family. It's called the Savage Nation. So Shelley, wait, hold on. Diane, before you go, hold on. I got to back up for a minute, catch my breath. You really think that a secular therapist is going to read this book, God, Faith, and Reason?
Give her lots of books, and she reads them, and because it's coming from me, she and I are friends, even though she's my therapist. I only see her once every 6 months. Unfortunately, I take Prozac, but only a small milligram of it. But
if it helps you, God bless the chemical universe.
Yeah, it just keeps me, because the world is a very, very serious place, and I take it all in like a sponge.
Oh, you're a high receptor.
Yes.
You're a super sensitive high receptor. Well, I mean, let me tell you something. The people who are super sensitive are having a rough time right now living in this world. The slaughter of the animals, the slaughter of societies, the ignorance of the people, the hatred of the people for decency. It's a very hard time to be living in the world.
Yes. And
all right. Well, Diane, I'm sending you another copy of God, Faith, and Reason. Give it to another therapist. It might be good for them. Oh, boy, where are we going? Leo Tolstoy wrote somewhere that those who believe their religion is greater than God will believe that their sect is greater than their religion and end up by believing that they are greater than their sect. That's on page 225 in my book in the section called Rabbi in a Brothel, a Fable. I like that. No, I wrote that in the 1980s. I incorporated pieces of my early writings in here that were written when I was actually a better writer than I am now. I had a lot of time on my hands. And I incorporated some of my early writings when I was really rebellious towards the world and my mind was so active. And it's in there, The Room with a View to Eternity. I like that one. That's where Henry is buried. And he says, we never know we're going to die. He reminded me with a 70s rocker's cackle and grin. That's such a good line. I remember burying Henry. Burial is heavy. People don't even... most people today... here's the difference in California and New York that I noticed. When I grew up in New York, wherever you drove, there was a cemetery. LIE, cemeteries, Catholic, this and that. Everywhere you turned. I can name them all coming out of New York, coming out of the tunnel or over a bridge. Calvary Cemetery, right out of the bridge, I once had a car that broke down there at night. That was creepy. But you were reminded that it's pretty brief, the whole short dance in the sun. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't get too far away from a funeral on the highways of New York with the line of cars. You were reminded. Yeah, they went out to the burial grounds. You were reminded, that eventually for whom the bell tolls, the bell tolls for thee. You're reminded. California, I don't even know where the cemeteries are. They're hidden, especially in L.A. Hidden. No one dies in L.A. Everyone lives forever. The land of the eternal smile, the land of the shiny white teeth, the land of the perennial tan, the land of the man in 80 years of age with the long head of hair, the land of eternity, not. Because at the end of the day, it's the way of all flesh. I got to tell you, now that I've been sleeping on my great Casper mattress, I pick it over every mattress I ever had, and you will too. It'll help you get the best night's sleep, period. Listen, try Casper. It costs you nothing to try it, and you're going to love it. Switching to Casper is a no-brainer. It's a higher quality mattress at a more affordable price. Do it for the holidays. You'll thank me. You'll sleep cool, comfortable. You'll get rid of that old Fakakta mattress. You'll get rid of it. Casper goes and ships the mattress right to your door for free in a small, how did they do it, size box. It's that small. And you don't like it, they'll pick it up for no money back. But nothing, you'll get your money back. From its breakthrough design and superior quality to its packaging to letting you try it for 100 nights, it's no wonder Casper was named one of Fast Company's 50 most innovative brands of 2017. And listen to me, sleeping on a mattress is the best way to try it. So put Casper to the test in your own home for 100 nights, risk-free. Go to Casper.com, code SAVAGE. You're going to get $75 towards the purchase of your mattress. You heard me right. Casper.com, code SAVAGE. You're going to get $75 towards the purchase of your mattress. Casper.com, terms and conditions apply. Now let's hear Bones, Billy Bones, J.V. Jones. Everyone sing along. I'm in a fatalistic mood. It's a pirate song by Skip Henderson. Billy Bones. Bones, Billy Bones. Billy Bones. I think it's such great lyrics. Billy Bones. Everyone sing. Bones, Billy Bones. Up to Davy Jones. And gold and wenches bold. Had your last fill, Billy Bones. Good morning to you, Billy Bones, Billy Bones. Good morning to you, charming Billy. The chest that you're laying on once sailed the salt sea. Those are different lyrics. I like the rum and gold and wenches bold line. Oh, Bones, Billy Bones. Send him off to Davy Jones. And gold and wenches bold. You know, you can't even use the word wenches anymore. Maybe these lyrics should be burned. I hear they're getting rid of a skit done in 1982 that's on YouTube. Something about King Tut's tomb that was done by Steve Martin. And the morons at Reed College are saying it's racist. So I would think any song that offends anybody should be burned. They should burn books. And while you're burning books at the stake, all you tolerant, moronic liberals, why don't you start burning people and tell yourself how tolerant you are, you schmucks, you. Can't say the word wenches in a song? Rum and gold and wenches bold? Anyway, that's it. That's the world. That's the world we're living in for now. When it's going to stop, I don't know how it stops. How do you stop these maniacs? How do you stop these psychotics on college campuses who have never earned a dime in their life, who've been raised on medication, don't even know the real world. They've never had a fist applied to their nose. They've never fallen down and broken an arm, and they're telling us how to run society. And all the while, China sits and laughs in the background, waiting for America to collapse entirely so they can pick up all the pieces. Going down. I am a product of my times. I am the outcast of the media, Michael Savage. Proud of it. So here we are, hour two. I've not gotten to where I wanted to go yet. I'm still warming up on the show. It's only been an hour so far. And I've asked you to call with your favorite section of God, Faith, and Reason. I haven't even taken any calls on that. But I stumbled upon another article that I wanted to talk about with you. I was reading an article about San Fran horror stories. They were saying people come to the city and love it, but most people remember the horror stories. They don't remember the restaurants, Coit Tower. They don't remember the cable car. What they remember are things like this. When they're walking in the streets, and they were on south of the Embarcadero to the ferry building for an early dinner. Nice family, 9-year-old daughter, man and woman from Alberta. A topless and obviously drugged-up, crazed female seemed to emerge from out of nowhere, approached my daughter, and extended her 2 middle fingers right into my child's face and screamed, "F you at her!" Now that's San Francisco. That's Nancy Pelosi's backyard. There are the liberal values. That is how liberalism has turned a great city into a slime pit. But there's more. Other visitors remember things like this. Robert Donahue was in town last week from Massachusetts for his granddaughter's first birthday. He went to the Legion of Honor Museum. He saw the great Rodin exhibit, which I've loved very much. And then he headed home to the airport, so he got into his rented Jeep, and it had been broken into in the museum's parking lot. $8,000 worth of electronics, medication, other items had been stolen from the rear cargo area. So they ran back to the museum, and guess what? The staff said, oh, don't worry about it. It happens all the time. I mean, that's the city. That's the city under liberalism, where the cops can do their job, but they don't do their job, because if they do their job, they are admonished by the liberal psychotics in the courts, the liberal psychotics in the political machine, who have put the bums ahead of the police and ahead of the people. Drug deals south of Market. Out-of-mind people throwing trash at people standing in line to ride the cable cars. How cute. A man dropping his pants to crap right in front of their 6-year-old granddaughters outside the Curran Theater. And if you stand up and slap the bum in the face, guess who goes to jail? San Francisco's finest will put you in jail faster than you could say Willie Brown. And that's what people remember in San Francisco, the land of such tolerance. The land of such tolerance. They don't remember the cable cars, Coy Tower, or the Golden Gate Bridge. They remember a man defecating in front of their 6-year-old granddaughter or breaking into their car. There is a crime wave, boys and girls, in this beautiful city. Don't make any mistake about it. Liberalism destroys souls and destroys cities. And now let's go back to the regular programming of the show. KSFO, Aaron, what's your favorite part or story of God, Faith, and Reason?
Lonesome Boy on Cold Sand. I remember you'd read it back in February, and I was really excited to hear that it was going to be in this book. I think the reason why it's one of my favorite sections is I had a similar experience growing up that I'd kind of forgotten about until I'd heard the story. For me, it was like a father-son barbecue at the church.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky to get my dad to go to church even on holidays and stuff, and I signed us up thinking that he'd make it. And it turns out I ended up there alone. And I felt, kind of separate from the group. And I ended up walking out kind of on my own and was approached by some of the deacons and elders that kind of brought me back in. So that story in God, Faith, and Reason will always be special to me. I think it's one of my...
A boy needs his father more than anyone is willing to admit in this feminist-driven society of ours. A boy growing up without a father is a ship without a rudder. That boy will drift and drift and drift, and God only knows what kind of drift that he's going to be captured by. The society has become so anti-male, so anti-father, and that's why I wrote that section, Lonesome Boy and Cold Sand, because I think it has a universal appeal, and you've just confirmed that it touched you, and that's beautiful. Different backgrounds, different house of worship, different city, and yet you were touched by it, Aaron. That's very beautiful. I'm sending you another copy to give away to someone else who might enjoy finding themselves in that book. That's beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Where's the one with the science stuff? I need more time today. I need 5 hours. I opened my show with a very, very loaded statement. I'm surprised I didn't get more calls, which is, why are the same pseudos who are defending Judge Moore, saying the women are all white trash accusers, why are the same accusers, the same pseudos, salivating as they read the unfounded accusations against Charlie Rose? Well, I'll let you figure out if that's not speaking to their lack of characters and credentials. We're living through Jacques Hughes. You better doubt all accusers until they're proven to be true, because you'll be next. You will be next. Let's go to Gilbert in Arizona, KFNX. Arizona, haven't heard from you in a while. What's on your mind, Gilbert?
Well, Dr. Savage, I could not entertain the idea of God, Faith, and Reason because I was growing up in a religious cult. But Carl Sagan opened my eyes when he talked about the third, fourth, and the fifth dimension, the second, third, fourth, fifth, and beyond. And it helped me understand that the scientists and the doctors like you have ideas, but the religious leaders are like the monopoly of God, and they can't even entertain another man's ideas. And the fourth dimension, even I don't know the answers, but when I listen to other scientists and their explanation of what happens after you die or the purpose of life, I find it just as fascinating and even sometimes even more compelling than the religious argument.
I can't speak to your conversation because I don't know what happens after you die, nor do I pretend to have such knowledge. And I know that religious people have various opinions on the matter. Even within the same religion, some believe in an afterlife, some don't. Some believe life stops when a person's body dies. Some believe there's an eternal heaven. Some don't, and they're still religious.
Right.
And that's why it's such a diverse marketplace of ideas. And it actually is respectful to believe we live in a nation where so many different ideas can live next to each other without anger. While in the fanatical throwback Islamist world, if you don't believe the way they believe, what do they do to people? They kill them. And that's why they're such a danger to our society and should never, ever have been allowed into this nation. There should be a litmus test of religion in the country, and I'll say it again. If you hold throwback 8th century religious beliefs and you are let into this country, you should be found out and deported from this nation, because you cannot bring 8th century views to this nation of ours and hope to survive here, because there's going to be a clash like you've never seen. Running people over, shooting people in workplaces. You know where that's coming from. It's coming from the hatred that they have in their hearts from their 8th century view of the world. And I'll leave it at that. I don't even want to go down that road right now, but I am sending you God, faith, and reason. Trump tried. He's trying very hard to stop the flood of illegal aliens, especially those with 7th and 8th century views. And every day we wake up another psychotic throwback judge of the type in San Francisco that just turned over again. Again, another rotten, stinking, fetid judge. The stench from the bench is making me clench. Just did it to Trump again. The same filthy judge who lets bums defecate in front of 9-year-olds in the streets and calls it progressivism. That same kind of judge just reversed Trump on the immigration thing. There has to be a cleaning of the house of judges in America. There has to be a purge of these fanatical left-wing dictators who think that they're more powerful than the people. They are not more powerful than the people. And the day should come that the judges are purged in this country. That's all I can say on that issue without going any further, because you know where I'm going. That's all there is to it. And if you find that blasphemous, good. Good, because you judges deserve it. The stench from your bench is making us all clench. And you are not supporting Western civilization. You are distorting Western civilization. If you let bums defecate in the streets of San Francisco and call that freedom of speech, then you, my friends, are psychotic. No matter how high you may have climbed on the liberal totem pole, no matter how high you may have climbed in the liberal legal world, you are lower than the lowest of the low. And that's all I want to say on that. KYAA in Montana, Maria, line 9. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Michael, this is 7:30 a.m. in Montana. And I just...
Wait. Well, hold on. It's 1:15 here in California. How could it be 7:30 a.m. in Montana?
No, 7:30 a.m. dial.
Oh, I thought I lost track of time. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maria. I heard you wrongly.
Michael, I listen to you every day, and I tell everyone in town to listen to you. And I just wanted to thank you for being the man that you are, and how you talk about men, and how men have been degraded in America. And my father was present when I was a child, but he wasn't present emotionally. And when I listen to you, it's as if my father is speaking, and it's pretty emotional for me because he was Italian and he has the same sense of humor you have, and so I just want to thank you for that, because I feel like you are it's part of my family, and that same growing.
That's very beautiful. Let me tell you something. When I created the name of the show, The Savage Nation, in 1994, I envisioned something like this happening, where people around the country and around the world would be connected to like-minded individuals of different races, different religions, different sexes, and yet they'd be unified by certain beliefs. And that's basically what it is. It's a family in the airwaves. And that's as close as we could ever come to meeting. I'm sending you a copy of God, Faith, and Reason. I just got an email from an individual who said, incidentally, a girl needs a father just as much. She says, look what happens to girls who grow up without a father. And she says, let those anti-male monsters go back where they belong. Killing off the father, debasing the father is bad for the boys and bad for the girls. She says it's an affront to God and his will that we would have love and family and enjoy life on earth together, loving one another and ourselves as we love God. She's a wonderful Christian person, and she understood in a way that I didn't when I said a boy needs a father. She said instantly a girl needs a father just as much. So I want to thank her for that email as well. It's very important to me to be able to read that on the air. And the world is here. The world is here. Now we have a call. Did I run through a stop set into... Oh, let's just skip 5 ads and blow off a lot of money and alienate all my sponsors in this age where we're all... I can't do that. But I can take your calls. Here's a man who's calling from New York who we'll get to, who says he died in a hospital and he had a very unique out-of-body experience. You know what? I can't wait to hear him. I hope you're here with me when I come back. So I got to tell you, when you're in the bookstore looking for God, Faith, and Reason, which is a great holiday gift, would you please try to find a copy of Teddy and Me? It's still one of my favorite picture books. Vince Ramini, the great photographer, took pictures of me and Teddy. You're not going to believe him. And you know, Teddy is the silent other host of the Savage Nation. He's been at my feet during every broadcast for the 13 years in his life. And there he is. It's him and me. There's a portrait of Ted by me. You'll see my watercolor done in 2015 when I was still painting. And a self-portrait of a service human. That's of myself. You've never seen my other watercolors. I've stopped painting, whatever. Who knows? Maybe I'll be inspired another day. Maybe I should buy a book about inspiration. Maybe I should go buy a book under a religion and inspiration. Maybe I'll be inspired to paint again. So my publisher, Kate, says, the book's in Walmart, Sam's, BJ's in the bestseller area. Indigo and Books A Million have it in political. Barnes & Noble has it front of store in religion. Mass merchants don't have a category placement. So that could be why you're not finding it. WABC, Bill, fire away. We only have 2 minutes. Go ahead. You died in a hospital. What happened?
Yeah, Dr. Savage, I'm hoping this call helps a lot of people. Back in 2000, I had a 6-hour surgery. It didn't go well. And several days later, the nurses were kind of egging me on to call my family so I could say my goodbyes. And I just said, I didn't want to put them through that. And sure enough, days later, I was laying there. The next thing I knew, I came up out of my chest in spirit and floated, overlooking my body. And then I decided to sit down next to my physical body on my pillow. So that would make me in spirit world about 3 feet tall, I guess, if you could just sit on your pillow next to your head. And I started thinking about my wife and my 4 kids. If I chose to die, how long could they, live financially? And I figured, calculated 7 years. And then I looked up and just said, Lord, if you'll have me, I'll go with you. And as soon as I said that, I was shoved back in through my chest, and that hurt. Dying did not hurt, but going back in hurt.
Wow.
Heard this voice with the authority of the universe saying, do more for other people.
How many years ago was this for?
Year 2000. I was 44 years old.
No, you're still with us.
So I can tell you that when you die, everything about you is on the other side, and there's not a piece of you missing. It's just that your physical body's not there, but everything that makes you you is there.
Unbelievable. I mean unbelievable in an exclamation point way, not that I don't believe you. I'm awed by your story, and I thank you for sharing, Bill. I will send you a gift of God, Faith, and Reason, and I'll tell you what, Teddy and Me for the kids. Wow, what a story that is. I don't even want to play music. I got to talk. Turn it off. Every spare second, I want to get back on the air. I don't know what's going on with me. It's like as the year comes to a conclusion, I feel stronger and wanting to communicate with the audience even more. I don't know whether it's the publication of the book or the end of a very hard year or looking forward to a great 2018 for America and for you and for myself. I have a really optimistic feeling, which is very unusual for me. In fact, I feel weird feeling so optimistic. I'll have to see a doctor. But I see that the area that I live in, the San Francisco area, is going to have a mini heat wave, which I hate. I just hate it. I may have to call everyone who's coming up. My whole house is supposed to be full, up and down with people. I mean, it's so not me that, maybe I should just say, please stay home. I'll just get the Swanson's TV and the tray, the Swanson's turkey dinner. I'll sit there with the dog and have a dinner alone. I'm joking. No, you think about it. Bay Area warming up, flirting with record-breaking temperatures. I was going to go to L.A., but I couldn't take the idea of 88, 90 degrees. Forget about it. I'm not going. So now everyone's coming here from Arizona, from this place, from that place. It's like being a kid again. All it's missing is a train set. We don't have trains anymore, but we have just warmth and love for each other and a great sense of humor. Downtown San Francisco forecast to reach 70 degrees Tuesday. Previous high is 76 in 05. Yeah, there's that global warming again. Where's Al Gore? He usually pops up when this happens. Santa Cruz could get as hot as 78 degrees, coming close to its previous 81-degree record in 1925, long before Al Gore was even a glint in his father's eye. There was already heat here. Okay, here we are. Now let's go to the callers. No, let's music. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Read, play something from a show, take a call, take the caller. Let's go to WABC. Gary, he's calling about the elephants that I worked so hard. You know, it's not over yet, by the way. Trump said he's going to consider the reversal and make it permanent, but he hasn't done that yet. That's one. He spared the turkeys today. That's good. Okay, but I haven't seen anything done on the elephants. And just saying you can't bring in the trophies doesn't mean they're safe. The poachers have to be hunted down and killed. I think we should send the special forces team to hunt the poachers. WABC, Gary, line 1. Go ahead, please.
Michael, I called you several months ago. My son's a fighter pilot, and he was in the Middle East for 6 weeks killing the vermin. But anyway, I was...
Oh, somebody out there hears me.
What's that?
No, you said killing the vermin. I like that language.
Killing the vermin. He's a fighter pilot. I called you several months ago about it. But anyway, I was in Zimbabwe for 3 weeks with my wife, and we spent 3 weeks with elephants, female elephants and young elephants, because you can't be with males. We bathed them, we fed them, we cleaned their poop, we rolled them, and we went out with a guy with a gun, trying to look for guys who were killing them. We couldn't find anyone. We did find 2 dead freaking elephants out there, and not only do they cut off the tusks, but they dig into the face to get deep into to get the tusks.
Yeah, that's wonderful, native. Isn't it wonderful how superior the natives are? The people we're supposed to revere, the third worlders. Isn't it great to see how kind and sensitive they are?
Living there for 3 weeks was the most...
Well, we ought to bring in more third worlders. That's just what America needs, is the kindness and sensitivity of people from these throwback continents.
Yeah, so they can sell them to China.
Yeah, what is it with the middle-class idiots in China having to display ivory on their shelves? What kind of idiots are they? They remind me of the morons who lived in America in the 1950s, the nouveau riche, who would buy statues and put them on. What is that about? Why can't the UN stop this? Why couldn't President Trump tell President Xi to stop the importation of all ivory and tell anyone who possessed any new ivory they'd be arrested? That would put an end to it, by the way.
I agree.
Aren't elephants amongst the most noble creatures on the planet?
They're unbelievable. If you spend time with them, they are kind, they're friendly, they're jovial.
What kind of Interior Secretary would permit something like this to happen? Why is he still Secretary of the Interior, this guy Zinke? What does he want to do?
Outrageous.
Pollute all of the airs and waters in America next and say that it's good for the economy, that we're going to roll back all the environmental laws of the last 50 years? Let's just dump effluent into the bays and waterways because that's good for the environment? Maybe we can destroy all of the rivers in America, make it better for industry. This is what the thinking is? Gary, it's the same with the elephants. You start with the elephants and it ends with the air in your backyard. It's got to be stopped. And this is only the beginning of my battle. I was instrumental in stopping Trump, and I'll tell you right now, if Zinke is not stopped in his rollback of the environmental laws, I'm going to marshal Americans around this country. I'm going to marshal them for the next year until he's fired. I do not want to see every environmental law rolled back simply because we're going to be told it's good for the economy. Nothing could be further from the truth, Gary. Thanks for the call. Sending you a copy of God, Faith, and Reason. God bless you for taking care of the old pachyderms out there. Pachyderms lived and cared for elephants in Zimbabwe. Yeah. What else do you want to talk about? Here we got a good caller. New York now, WABC. Yossi, line 9, you want to talk about what topic?
Yes, I'm talking about the Old Testament.
Go ahead. Fire away, Yossi.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, say something already.
You're talking about the Old Testament, and you mentioned if you take it literally, you maybe would belong to ISIS, which I was very taken aback. I'm an Orthodox Jew, a little Hasidic, just a little bit. And I want to tell you that in the Old Testament it says that you cannot bring the death penalty to somebody. First of all, there has to be 2 witnesses that warned him that what penalty he would get. And also it says that the judges was 71 judges that judge the case has to try whatever they can to save the person. That's one thing it says. And in the Old Testament...
Well, so in other words, ISIS doesn't practice that view of the Old Testament.
No, ISIS doesn't practice that. They got to be warned and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you're not an Old Testament literalist, are you? You don't believe homosexuals should be thrown off roofs as ISIS does, do you?
Well, it doesn't say thrown off rules. It just says that it's something forbidden. It says it's something forbidden, right?
No, that's not what the Old Testament says. Now you're faking it. It says homosexuality is an abomination that should be punished by death. I don't follow that. Do you?
No, I don't. All
right, so don't tell me then that I'm wrong when I say that if you literally interpret the Old Testament, if you interpret it literally, you may as well join ISIS because they do interpret it literally. They kill gays in Iran. They kill gays in parts of the Middle East. And we don't want to bring them into this country, do we? They stone adulterers to death. You don't believe in that?
No.
So you really agree with me in a certain way. It's not that we're so different in our viewpoint.
Let me tell you something else. It says in the Talmud that a court that judged a person to death, and once in 70 years, it will be called a killing court. That means the Torah does not, like you just said, what you just said before about homosexuals, the Torah says save the person. Do everything you can to save him. Find something that's not, it doesn't coincide the 2 witnesses. Even the Talmud talks a lot about that. It's not just to throw the guy off the roof and see what you can to kill him because he was a homosexual. Do what you can to save the person. And there's so much the Talmud talks about saving the person. You need to.
So you are talking about the Talmud, not the Torah, because the Old Testament is the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, and Leviticus is pretty clear on being brutal, unforgiving, and that's that's why I say thank God there's a revision of that viewpoint of the Torah in the Talmud. But unfortunately, Islam has not gone through a revision or a reformation in any way. And many women and many modernists in Islam know this. And they understand this, and they're in great danger because of it. Because they understand they cannot live in the 7th century anymore than Jews or Christians live in the 7th century, Yossi. I thank you for listening to the show, and I'm very honored that a man of your scholarly and religious orientation would take the time out to call such a radio program.
Dr. Savage.
I mean that very much. I mean, I hope you understand my words mean something, Yossi. I'm not just saying it.
Listen to you for years. Can I say something about your influence that you have?
Sure, I'd love to hear it, of course.
You have tremendous influence. You say yourself that Trump was elected so much because of your influence. Yet when you say a lot that when you were young, and you were very young and you tried marijuana, don't you think that could maybe influence other young kids and like that to try marijuana, which maybe they shouldn't?
Yes, it could, but it can also give a child the understanding that I'm a truth teller, not a faker, and that I tried marijuana. It was the worst thing I ever did in my life. I smoked it for a number of years. It destroyed me in many ways. It took me to areas I never wanted to be in. And it is probably the most dangerous drug of all because it's considered so benign right now and being pushed down the minds of children, and they will not recover. Ask people in emergency rooms what they're treating kids with psychosis today because of marijuana. It is not this benign drug, and I can guarantee you as we sit here, Yossi, since we're talking about it, the day will come that marijuana laws will again go in place in this country, and these wonderful peddlers of this dope will wind up in jail where they belong. It is not this benign drug. It is a toxic killer of the mind and the soul.
That is wonderful what you're saying now. That is wonderful.
Jeremiah wrote, "For my people is foolish, they know me not. They are sottish children, and they have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. I'm sure you have read Jeremiah in the Hebrew. And Yossi, if you'd be willing to take the book, I will send you a copy of God, Faith, and Reason. I think you'll be proud to read it because you'll see many, many things in it that you agree with. I don't think you'll disagree with very much in there. Stay on the line. Stay on the line. That's an amazing story. And if men strive together and hurt a woman with child so that her fruit depart and yet no harm follow, he shall surely be fined according as the woman's husband shall lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. You know, a lot of our law comes from the Bible. I don't know if you know that. A lot of the law comes from the Hebrew Bible. A lot of our common law that we think is simply derived from law comes from moral law. I don't know if you know that. And that's an important thing to remember. And where the judges of today have gone astray is they have lost the connection to the origin of their own laws. And they have become a law unto themselves. In essence, they have become, in their minds, demigods, thinking that they dictate what the law is rather than simply enact what is thought to be best for the people and for the nation. 855-407-2882 is the phone number. Let's go to Oleg on KSFO. Oleg, line 4, go ahead, please.
Hello, Dr. Savage. I just wanted to tell that I'm actually listening to you religiously, and what a wonderful job you're doing, helping me even, and I'm pretty sure other people to cope with everything what's going on in the country and find the connection between science and faith.
Now, I understand you are a man of science. You're a doctor, Oleg?
Yes, I am.
So you probably came from Russia and you had, lost your religion along the way?
Sort of, yeah, seeing what's going on in country, running from what starting here.
Well, running from what is starting here with the communism. And you see, I know many Russians who say the same thing. Everything they ran from is now happening in America. They see the origins, the beginning. They see the terror. They see the hatred. They see the anti-God, anti-family, anti-church. They see the meanness of the people who claim to be good liberals. They see Bolshevism. They see communism. They know this is a revolution, and they feel it in their bones. This cannot end well for America, Oleg. And I'm going to send you a copy of God, Faith, and Reason. Maybe, just maybe, we can turn the tide and save this country from the pure evil of the left. Back in a minute. Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Time is so short, but I got to tell you something you really have to know about. If you got a used car, listen to me carefully. Eventually, you know it's going to break down. If it's a truck or car, it's going to break down. If it's under warranty, great. Good for you. You'll be covered. But what happens after the warranty is out? You're going to be really out of pocket for thousands. And that is why I recommend my good sponsor, CarShield.com. CarShield makes the whole process very easy for you. You pick your own mechanic. You could even go to the dealer to do the work. No checks in the mail waiting for reimbursement. CarShield gets the mechanic paid directly. CarShield's administrators even give you the VIP treatment. They'll give you 24/7 roadside assistance, and they rental car while yours is in the shop, so you're not going to be stranded in the cold, right? Listen carefully. If your car is 3 to 12 years old, it doesn't mean you have to pay high repair bills. CarShield administrators have paid out close to $2 billion in claims. They're real. They're ready to help you. Save yourself thousands in car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate and extended vehicle service protection. Call 800-CAR-6100, code SAVAGE, or visit carshield.com, code SAVAGE, and you're going to save 10%. Carshield.com, code SAVAGE. A deductible may apply. I got so many great callers calling on topics of importance to this country. Mo in New York is saying the book is what kids need to keep them out of trouble. Roger in Reno is saying God is around us at all times. Many miracles are proof. David on KVOC in Wyoming is saying he found a girl who committed suicide. He was compelled to look for her. He didn't even know who she was or where. He was drawn to the area and he saved her. Claudia on WDGJ in Albany, New York is saying women are setting a dangerous precedent with these accusations. I got so many great callers. I'll be here for another hour with you on many affiliates across the country. For those of you who leave the show at this time, I want to thank you for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's take a quick call before we go. WDGJ, Claudia, line 8. Fire away. You got over a minute. Tell us what's on your mind.
This is a terrible precedent. These these women are full of it. You can't come out 30 years later and accuse somebody of doing something so heinous, and people are losing their jobs.
Well, how can they get away with destroying lives merely on an accusation? That's what I want to know.
You can't.
Aren't we living in a nation of laws where a person has to be tried before they're found guilty? We're now rushing to judgment, which is what happened during the Communist Revolution. The Bolsheviks took over. They started accusing people of crimes. Some of them were real, some of them were false, and they had people destroyed. We're now living through a form of execution through accusation. This is not America. This is absolutely wrong. I don't care which side of the aisle the axe falls. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Whether it's Moore or Rose, it's all wrong. Let the trials begin. Let not the accusations condemn. That's my opinion. I'm the author of God, Faith, and Reason. Now you understand why the show has lasted almost a quarter of a century. You understand why? Because there's a reason for everything. Not me. Nope. I don't. I think it's a myth. That's what drives people into drugs. They think everyone's got someone to love but them. And they get lonely, they drink, they say, why not me? Why am I lonely? Oh, am I on the air? Welcome to the program, Savage Nation. Are you weary of all of this God talk? I'm not. I'm not weary of it at all. I mean, I can do the news if you'd like. There's plenty of news out there. Let's see, who is accused now? Oh, Conyers did it. Mr. Sanctimonious John Conyers settled a wrongful dismissal with a former employee of News Report that was all sexual around him. So, in other words, even the left, the right, CBS, PBS severed ties with Old Rose, another sanctimonious one. What else is it? Who's getting it next? Where did the Soviets go next to bring the next one down? Who is behind this? Who's driving this stuff? Is there some, current investigative team, some secret hand like investigating everyone to destroy them? Who's doing this? Where's it all coming from? Is it a lawyer doing it? Is it that famous team of lawyers, the mother and daughter team, destroying lives? There are other stories. Harvard faces probe over affirmative action. They were sued a number of years ago for advancing and admitting people based only on race. Good. Long overdue. Harvard should be sued for that. Meet the antitrust chief heading up the AT&T lawsuit. That's too esoteric for the average listener. Black Friday sale. I don't even know what Black Friday was. I was never like an average American. I didn't know I was supposed to eat the turkey and the next day run out like a schmendrick and go shopping. But people do. I mean, that's a holiday tradition. You go out, you drive your insulin up, and you go shopping and you grab and you buy and you snatch and you buy and you give and you save it and you give it for Christmas or Hanukkah and everyone throws it in the garbage or gives it away or whatever. It's just the country the way it is. New evidence for critics of weight loss supplements, testosterone, dopamine. Everything is going. A tech boom, meanwhile, is running along like crazy. Tech boom creates new order for world markets. Never richer than you could imagine. Zuckerberg, richer than King Midas. How did one schmendrick get so powerful? This is an antitrust story. I don't even want to do it now. No person should be allowed to get that rich by dominating an industry. In other words, if two companies, Google and Facebook, together grab 90 to 95% of all internet advertising, that's a monopoly. It should be broken up, period, end of story. This is bigger than Standard Oil at its peak. These two guys, the people who run Facebook, Zuckerberg, the people who run Apple, like Tim Cook, they're bigger than the robber barons at the turn of the 20th century. And that's when Teddy Roosevelt came along with a motto of bust the trust, meaning break up the big corporations that were dominating the oil industry and others. And he broke them up because the people had had enough of monopoly. Now, the problem here is that Zuckerberg and Apple have bought up so many government officials that are now called lobbyists working for them. It is very hard to change things as they are. But the people eventually will rise up. They will back the antitrust motions of this government and of others, and they'll break up these huge conglomerates and give other people a chance. Pixar studio chief takes leave and apologizes. Another one bit the dust today. Head of Disney's Pixar Studios to take leave after apologizing. John Lasseter says he's sorry for making some Pixar personnel disrespected or uncomfortable. God, it sounds like one gigantic campus. Uncomfortable. Hugging people in public, that made them uncomfortable. That's a reason to lose a job? He hugged someone in public? What else did he do? Did he bathe naked in an office shower and walk out like a... I don't know. I mean, what now is harassment now? What is harassment? Walking out naked, I could see as harassment to an assistant. Well, hugging someone is now harassment? I don't understand. Well, there always were guys. I knew it even when I was younger. I had friends that were like the weaklings of the crowd. They would hug a woman and pull her close to them in order to have the frontal part of her body pressed against them and wouldn't let the woman go like in a bear hug. I remember them. They made the women feel uncomfortable. I know there were guys. One of them became a doctor. The other one became a journalist. Two of them I remember. They were the huggers. The overt bear hugger men made a lot of women like creepy. The women knew they were creepy. The hug and pulling them in. I know that. I never did that. The Orthodox Jewish people don't even shake the hand of a woman. You know that if you go up to a religious woman to shake her hand, she says, I'm not permitted to by my faith. It's interesting. They don't even shake a hand, let alone a hug job. Not a hug, nothing. No, they don't even touch a hand. For they knew that they get a lawsuit from the Sanhedrin. You touch the hand, the next thing you know, the Sanhedrin, the 70 rabbis are judging you. You don't know what's going to happen. What happens on Thanksgiving? Oh, the family touch football. Oh, did I hate those years. I was never an athletic guy. I'll be very honest with you. My son, God bless him, was an athletic guy. Could ski. He'd throw that football on a cold Thanksgiving day. My hand like almost broke catching. I had to do it. You eat the turkey, then you go out. You have to play catch in the street. It's a tradition. It hit me in the chest. I felt like someone hit me with a bat. Then I would try to throw it back. I could throw it. I knew how to make it spin. But, it would hurt. It's not my thing. I'm not an athletic guy. I'll admit it. It's not my thing. I'm just not that kind of... There are guys who could do this. They could throw that football. It could go through a barn door. It could break through the wood. Here, son, go out, and the son would run down the street. Beautiful to watch. I'd rather watch TV, a game or something on TV. I don't know what's... Everyone's trying to be like a sportsman. Robert's laughing. Did you have anyone do that with you, Robert, play catch? Everyone played catch in the streets. It was a tradition, right? A Thanksgiving tradition. I was never... I guess maybe that made me a bad father looking back. Well, no, I wasn't really a bad father. I'm thinking about it out loud. Like, I don't ski. I don't ski? I grew up in the inner city of New York. Inner city. A fancy name for a dumpy apartment building in a bad section of the Bronx. Inner city now. They gave it a new name. But no one skied there. We rode a sled, an American Flyer. And we rode the sled down Bryant Avenue. Once the sled gave a turn underneath the truck, we almost all died under the rear wheels. That's all. That was my idea of sports. We shot down the street, and we were next to... there were trucks in those days that had chain drives. You know what those are like? Can you imagine how long ago that was? Monster trucks with chains pulling the rear wheels. I remember the guy who was driving it was the older guy. It was like a guy named Reggie. He was 15. We were like 8. And he was on the bottom, and then we jumped on his back, another kid on his back, another kid on that back, and we shot down the hill, and he lost control of the sled because there was ice under the snow, and the sled went where it wanted, right under the wheels of the truck, and by God's will, we went through the truck, and missed the wheels. That was my idea of skiing. It should have been an Olympic event. They should make a special Olympic category for people who grew up in slums, like dodging the rear wheels of a six-wheeler on a sled. That would go over very... No, so I never learned to ski, but I always loved the snow. So when my kids came along, I made a decision. They were going to learn to ski, even though I didn't have money. And I spent the money. We taught them how to ski. They ski. They both ski. Real Americans, sold American. I don't golf. We didn't play golf in the Bronx. Didn't know anything about it. If you like it, good. I find it a little boring. I was a caddy for a number of years. It's like so you could fall asleep before they had the carts. You had to march with the bag on your back. Rip your back open. It was pretty much fun at the Grossingers. No, I don't know which country club it was in the Catskill Mountains. I like the smell of the grass at 5 a.m. The idea of whacking a ball. Or if you love it, God bless you. I hear golf is dying out now. People don't want to pay the fees. They're tired of the marching, waiting on lines. Every guy I knew who was an avid golfer, the hips went out at 50, 55. Every guy, without exception, either a shoulder or a hip went out from a lifetime of twisting. The body's not meant to twist that way. Not everybody you're going to twist. What do you think is going to happen to your hips or your back or your shoulder? A repetitive motion like that against your body? So, no, there's a lot to be said for the wimp. I got to tell you, the wimp wins in the long run. The wimps win. That's just a thought. That's all. Robert De Niro. Play that Robert De Niro tape. I want to play it just for Thanksgiving. I have a friend of mine who loves that. Where is that guy? Always plays a tough guy. That mook, that bum. I'd like to punch him. And then remember what he said about Trump? That mook, that bum. He's doing a new movie, another Scorsese movie, just what the world needs. More glorification of violence. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, conducted by Marty Scorsese in a new movie, again, killing, murder, mayhem, drugs, crushing people, and yet the biggest liberals on the planet. Anti-gun, anti-violence, pro-woman, global warming, anti-Trump, that mook, that bum, punch him in the mouth. I'm not going to go to that movie. I don't want to see him anymore. I'm going to squeeze one more big payday out of him, more violence. You got that yet? I'm ad-libbing. It's hard to find, right? That mook, that bum. Almost ready? I'm giving you a Thanksgiving treat, the Robert De Niro. Stupid. No, not yet? All right, whatever. We'll move on. Oh, you got it? No, he can't. No, look, I'm a guy. It's very hard to be my board operator. I can see why Robert cracks up once in a while for the pressure. What other... Here we go. What is he in? Thanks, Robert. Yeah. Mook, a bum. Say mook. You're jealous. You're a bum. Yeah, there you go. He's just jealous. He's just jealous that he never went anywhere. He's just still an actor. Jealous that Trump became president. He's still an actor. That's all. What was he think? He's in a cafe on Sullivan Street with the boys? A mook, a bum, a this, a that. He's acting out a role like this. It's crazy. Here's the irony of it all. There's Robert De Niro putting down Trump. Mark my words, he'll be invited to the White House. I won't. Trump will pick up a phone and call him faster than he'll call me. All right, that's the way it is. A mook, a bum. That's all. That's the world as it is. Life goes on. I'll be back. All right, quiet on the set. This is a closed set. Quiet on the set. Marty is coming in. Everyone bow down. The Pharaoh has arrived. Marty is coming in. WABC David, line 8. Welcome to the Savage Nation from NYC. What's on your mind, David?
Hi, Michael. I want to let you know what happened like 4 hours ago. I'm from New Jersey, and I live in a town called Paramus. We have a mall here called Paramus Park Mall. I don't want to say any more. I don't want to give it any publicity, but I went to a bookstore there to get your book. So I asked this guy, I says, do you have the book God, Faith, and Reason by Dr. Michael Savage? And then he says, well, we have it in the religion section. And I noticed that he has a black shirt with white letters that says resist. And as soon as he says, well, we have it in the religion section, he says, but what are you, a Nazi? And I tell him, no, I'm an American patriot. What are you, a schmuck?
Well, let me tell you something. I will tell you this. When we get off the air, you're going to stay in the line. You're going to email my producers the name of the store, the name of the chain. I am going to report him to his boss and his boss's boss, and I will tell you right now, he committed an assault upon you. He assaulted you. You know, there's a thing in this country called assault and battery. He committed an assault upon you. Do you know that?
My Puerto Rican blood came out, and we had some words, and the manager throws me out. I'm the victim.
Good. They committed assault and battery against you. You have a lawsuit.
I couldn't get...
And I'll tell you something else, David. If you want to pursue charges, I will get you a lawyer. I am not going to tolerate these little Hitlers, these little Pol Pots who can't even get a job teaching, to go into bookstores and act like they own the bookstore. They are nothing. You talk about a nothing, they're garbage, and they committed an assault and battery on you.
Let me tell you, the guy was so wimpy, you can sneeze on him and he'd fall down, you know?
Well, you don't have to sneeze on him. Take him to court and sue the chain.
But the thing is,
unless they fire him, you're going to sue them. All right, David, stay in the line. I'm sending you the book, God, Faith, and Reason, for putting up with that snot nose. And again, if you want to pursue charges, send your email to the guy who's taking the book in from me. That's all. Imagine thrown out of a bookstore because he wants to buy my book. I'll make sure the clerk is thrown out of his job. How's that? I don't even want to talk about this anymore. I really don't. I'm getting so agitated that these little petty Hitlers are all over this country. They've now taken it from the college campuses to the bookstores to the universities, from the colleges to the bookstores. Everyone's being accused by them. The country's being stormed by them. They are the new storm front. They are the new Nazis. They are the true Nazis of America, and they're even worse than Nazis. You know why? Because they pretend they're not. A Nazi tells you what he is. These people pretend they're not. And they're worse, much worse. And that's it. What's this? Kay Fay in Arkansas. No, I don't want to. He fell out of a car and saw angels. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. I got hit by a car once when I was around 10 years old in Queens. I don't know if I died or not. Sometimes I think it's all a dream. What if this whole thing, after getting hit by that car, I really bounced off the fender? What if it's just one long dream since I got bounced off the fender and there's no life after that? There's an imagination. No, that wouldn't explain the headaches, the sinusitis, the indigestion from the Chinese food. No, it's absolutely not a dream. Can you dream that you have indigestion and headaches? I guess you could, but you don't feel it. So I feel, therefore I am. What do you think about it? I feel, therefore I am. So you feel nothing, then you're not alive, really. That's why people chase the feeling, right? Isn't that why they chase feeling? The petite mort. Everyone wants the petite mort. How many petite morts can you have in one day? Those obsessed in that department. Le petite mort. How many do you want a day? You'll have the grand mort if you keep it up. Mo on WABC line 1. Go ahead, please.
Hello. I have 2 points for you, actually. One is also about the book in the bookstore. I had a really hard time finding it the day it came out. I actually brought it for my brother, Mendy.
Yeah, they're hiding it. I know what's going on. All of these hackers who took over the bookstores, who think that they're just so cool and wild and crazy, they're doing America a disservice. I don't think they're going to keep the truth from the people, though. What else happened, Mo?
It was all the way downstairs. It was hard to find. It was not at all easy. My other point, on a more positive note, your book is literally. I work in a Jewish youth development program up in Wilkes-Barre, and your book is like the exact thing that these kids have to hear. First of all, you're
right, because I'm like a secular guy who's not very religious, but meanwhile, God is ever present. God is always with me. The question of where he is always with me, just like a kid. I'm sending you a copy, Mo. Thank you for being a loyal listener. I'll be back in a minute. And don't you dare go away. We're going to talk about San Francisco horror stories, what liberalism has spawned, and we've gone from a nation of laws to a nation of claws. It is the Savage Nation. Can the truth really get out? Can a book about God, faith, and reason beat the odds of the fanatical liberals who run bookstores who are burying it in the back of the store? I don't know. Sometimes you think if the word is strong enough, it'll beat the odds even of the mean-faced folks who belonged in the French Revolution cutting people's heads off. But they're burying it. I know that. I'm getting reports across the landscape right now. As I told you, I went to my local bookstore. A real prize doll last night said, I can't find the book. Then she found it in Religious Inspirational. It's not paid to be. The company bought upfront placement on the bestsellers and new releases. And the bookstore managers have taken upon themselves to bury this book. They hate God. Do you understand that? They want God out of the bookstores. Just as they wanted God out of the schools, and they took down the Ten Commandments. Just as they took down the Ten Commandments monuments. They do not want a book called God, Faith, and Reason in the front of a bookstore. It's liable to stop people from their dementia of pursuing the wrong path. What can I tell you? That's it. You want me to get really angry? I won't. I'm past anger. What do I need anger for? I do blow up. I have a very hot temper. I wonder if that ever ends. I'm thinking about that. I've always been a hot-tempered guy. Actually, when I was young, I wasn't hot-tempered. When I was a little boy, I was very thoughtful, and nothing really angered me. I would sit and build models and play with stuff. My father thought there was something wrong with me because I wasn't angry. And so he used to start, I'm remembering now on air, should I do this? No. People say they love my childhood stories. Maybe it's too personal. Certain things, I drift. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Nod. You know the word he was nodding off, right? You know, junkies used to say he nodded off. Where do you think the word nod came from? I love the colloquialisms. People don't even know he nodded off and dwelt in the land of Nod in the east of Eden. That means he was cast out of heaven. Nodding off has so many different meanings. So he said to me, you know, Michael, he said, you know, an oyster produces a pearl only when it is irritated. What are you talking about? He said, well, they take an oyster and they irritate the oyster with a metal something or other. And then the oyster in the irritation creates calcium around the irritation, and that's the pearl. I said, so what are you saying to me? There he was, old Dad, sticking that little thing into me to create the pearls of wisdom that I give you every day. He did the right thing when you think about it. Otherwise, I'd be mush. You gotta push kids. Otherwise, they're mush. They don't, you know, I love your thing. Oh, you know, leave them alone. Let them develop into what they are. What are they going to develop into what they are with society that tells them God is dead? And if you feel like being a girl, be a girl. If you feel like a girl wants to be a boy, be a boy. You know, hate your parents, hate the church, hate the synagogue, hate the school, hate America, hate the anthem. What do you think they're going to become unless you teach them something? See, I just got angry. Thank you, Dad. I mean, it's still in there, but what are you going to do? Let your child just feel his way through life? Be a nice feeling child? I'm not saying punish the child for nothing, but you got to give him guidance. You know, what I'm saying to you is so absurd in some ways because the Chinese know this. When in China, they cultivate the Mr. Rogers School of Child Rearing. If it feels good, honey, do it. They got the tiger moms for a reason. What do you think they got tiger moms for? Why do you think so many Asian kids succeed at the greatest schools in America? Because they're pushed to succeed. You know, listen to that garbage about let him experiment and feel what he feels. If the kid comes home with 4 out of 6 A's, the mother says, what happened to you with the others? Why'd you get a B+? They're not the only culture like that, but that's why they're such an exceptional culture. Because they push the children. Our stupid society. The same people who are burying God, faith, and reason want to bury child rearing and turn them into easily molded specimens of humanity. Mom gets prison for son's senseless death from strep throat. I put it up on michaelsavage.com because I thought it was very important to talk about because I'm a natural healer, but I know my limits, and I know the limits of natural healing. A Canadian mom has been sentenced to 3 years in prison after her little 7-year-old son was suffering from a severe strep throat, died because she wouldn't take him to a doctor. Tamara Lovett of Calgary was found guilty in January of criminal negligence causing death in the passing of her son, Ryan. You see, the woman said that she did not want him to be treated with antibiotics. So when the little boy developed a strep infection that left him bedridden in 2013, the mom tried to treat him using home remedies of dandelion tea and oil of oregano for 10 days, and then the poor kid died. Let me tell you something. There are limits to alternative medicine, and that's where modern medicine comes into play. I opened up this book, Healing Children Naturally, because I told you about it yesterday. What happened was I wrote it in 1982. I found used copies going for $100 on the internet, so I reprinted it and put it up on michaelsavage.com to try and help young mothers, young fathers with their children. And I said, what did I actually say about strep throat? Well, guess what? It's very consistent with what I just read to you. Under sore throat, I wrote the following after telling you that, you know, the alternatives you could use, which is, you know, vitamin C powder, keeping them warm, lots of liquids, soft diet, But I said, if the condition gets worse or doesn't improve, the pediatrician will be consulted on the 3rd day. And then I added this: sore throat accompanied by fever and convulsions is never for home treatment, and your child should be taken to the hospital if this combination of symptoms appears. So don't think that I'm just a wackadoodle, you know, natural healer kind of guy. I know where it ends. When it doesn't work, you go right to the mainstream doctor. But I give herbal preparations for this and other illnesses to look at, and diets for children. Also diets for prospective mothers, diets to reverse things, as I mentioned to you yesterday, postpartum depression. There's so much that's been lost in our development as a civilization, but a lot of it is fabulous stuff. Healing Children Naturally by Michael Savage. It's on my website, michaelsavage.com, hopefully for the health of the children. We've gone from a nation of laws to a nation of claws. From a nation of laws to a nation of claws. Where the pseudos defend Judge Moore, saying the women are nothing but harlots, while they salivate in the next breath as they read the unfounded accusations against Charlie Rose. Now, I don't know Judge Moore, and I don't know Charlie Rose. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, we tried to get Judge Moore on this show before he was accused, am I right? And he refused to come on the show, am I right? Huh? The great Judge Moore, but I didn't attack him. Charlie Rose never reached out to me. He's supposed to be the big intellectual of our time. Yeah, right. As long as you were one of the left-wing fanatics, you're on Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose would have benefited from a conversation with me. He might have learned something, but he was a closed shop. It was only open to those in the New York Hollywood galaxy. But still, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon and attacking Charlie Rose. I don't know if the women are telling the truth with the shower, with the naked, with the this, with the... You know, I don't know. Where is it going to end? I thought we're a nation of laws, not a nation of claws. But I don't think I'm going to talk about the sexcapades of Hollywood. I think it's the most boring topic on earth. I'm not really interested in who accuses who of what. I think it's, frankly, run its course. You know, how much more can we take of this? Another woman accuses Franken of grabbing. You surprised? You can't tell who Franken is by looking at his face? You can't tell a book by its cover? You didn't know what he was with that face of his? So I'm not shocked by any of this. On the other hand, he as well as all the others are innocent until proven guilty. Now they fire a New York Times reporter after sex harassment claims. You're going to say, how could this be going on that they're taking down even far-left reporters like Glenn Thrush? How is that even possible? Why are they doing this? I have the answer for that as well. Why do you think that the accusations are flying left and right across both sides of the aisle? Well, there's a reason for that. Because they're working their way up the chain to Donald Trump. And when they finally get back to the original accusers of Trump, they'll say this is not a vendetta against conservatives. This is simply an attempt to bring down all sexual predators. And so we're revisiting those accusations. And then they'll use the evidence. They brought down Franken, they brought down Glenn Thrush, Harvey Weinstein, and say we're not targeting Trump because of his politics. That's what they're doing here. Trust me, I have a foresight that I share with you on the show, and that's where they're going with this. Fox News host Jeanine Pirro hit with speeding charges after cops clock her driving 119 miles an hour in upstate New York. Oh, my God. Judge Jeanine. Slow down there, Jeanine. Cops say she was driving 119 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone when she was stopped by a trooper about 1:15 p.m. Sunday afternoon in the town of Nichols in Tioga County. What can you say about that? She got caught, that's all. That's 11 points in a driver's license. Oh, she's a host on the Fox News Channel show Justice with Jeanine. She recently interviewed President Trump, met with him in the White House. Very nice. The Republican Pirro also served as a Westchester County DA after serving 3 years as a county judge. Well, different strokes for different folks, I guess. What kind of car was she driving? 119 miles an hour. That's a pretty good speed. I hope her tires were good. That's all I can say. You know, that's a heavy speed, 119 miles an hour. Imagine if a lib did that. What if a lib was caught speeding 119 miles an hour? Let's say a liberal who had been a judge was caught at 119 miles an hour. What would you be clucking now on the conservative side? All of you constitutionalists, what would you be saying? Ooh, liberal speed. What goes around comes around. A number of years ago, I was troubled with my relationship with my own parents, God rest their souls. They died a long time ago. And I went to a woman who was quite religious. She's married to a rabbi. And I told her I really had trouble with my mother, and I don't like this whole thing of honor thy father and thy mother. I was really upset with that commandment. I said, I cannot honor my father and my mother. I said, I fought with them my whole life because I was a rebel when I was young. I didn't like what they were doing to me and stuff like that. And she said to me that honor thy father and thy mother does not mean worship thy father or thy mother. Just honor the fact that you are born from them. That's the whole meaning of the commandment, honor thy father and thy mother. That liberated me. So you see what I mean? The teachings like this are commonsensical, and I try to put my life of learning into God, faith, and reason in simple ways and in profound ways through telling stories, not by preaching from a Bible. You see what I'm saying? I don't think this whole issue of God is cut and dried. I don't think it's as clear as people would like it to be. For some it is. For some, it's strictly a matter of God exists, we pray, and that's all we know while we live and die. That's all they know, and that's the way they do it. But for those amongst us who are thinking people, who are skeptical people, who are scientific people, there is far more to this discussion than simply, let us say, doing the ritualistic stuff and leaving it at that. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. The song is dedicated to Charlie Rose, Al Franken, John Conyers, and even all the others. So now we play a soundbite of the super credible Maxine Slaughters. You know her, don't you? The one who's been screaming impeach, 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 impeach. Here she is in October of 2017 praising Representative Conyers' work on behalf of women and for his impeccable integrity. Here she is again, the super credible Maxine Slaughters.
A member of Congress who has been supportive of women for many, many years. He is quiet, he is confident, he is powerful, but he has impeccable integrity on all of our issues. Give John Conyers a big round of applause.
Let's have another round of applause for John Conyers. He's been conning you for years. That's why he's called John Conyers. Sometimes the name is apt. John conned you pretty good, huh? He's quiet, he's competent, just like her. Now there's a horrible story at the end. I don't like this. ISIS calls for assassination of Barron Trump. This is the last straw for me. Pro-ISIS internet channels are calling for the assassination of President Trump's son, Barron. They've actually given out details of the child's life, including the address of his school, and they're doing it through a network called Telegram channel. I want to know why the federal government does not close down the Telegram channel and put them out of business. We know that the terrorists use Telegram. Why does the government permit known channels of such terrorism to exist? A government is supposed to protect the people. A government has the power to close down businesses that are a threat to the health and safety of the nation. Why is Trump afraid of the media to the extent that he will not even close down Telegram, which is an app? Just shut them down. They're giving out the name and address of his son, Barron, the school, and they're calling for backers of the terrorist organization ISIS to kill this kid. The initial message was sent on 11/21 by an ISIS supporter on Telegram, called for the assassination of the boy Barron, and gave the name of the school that he attends along with a Google map pinpointing its location. Why does Trump not close down this horrible highway of hell called Telegram? He has the power to do it, and I'd back him 1,000%. Wouldn't you? It's time that these tech giants were told they do not have unlimited power. It is time these tech pirates were called on the carpet for their imperious behavior, which has now crossed the line into dangerous behavior. This is not about monopoly. This is not about monopolistic practices. This is about providing a forum for murderers who want to kill the president's son. Close them down, shut them down, and take the heat. Read more about it on michaelsavage.com. I linked it up from the Washington Free Beacon, a great site, by the way. Also, while you're reading, I hope you'll go to the bookstore tonight after the show and check out God, Faith, and Reason. If it's not in the front of the store where it should be, it could be under religion and inspirational books, but it's there, I guarantee you, in every store in the country, the major stores. And if you want, look at Teddy and Me at the same time for someone who doesn't like God but likes dogs. I mean, after all, dog is God spelled backwards, so it's got something for everybody there. You get one for the God lovers and then one for the dog lovers. What more could you ask for? It's been a great day. I'll end it the way I began it. I'm asking the same question I began with. Why are the same pseudos who are defending Judge Moore salivating as they read the unfounded accusations against Charlie Rose? The answer is because it speaks to their lack of character and their lack of credibility. This issue of J'accuse must come to an end. J'accuse, j'accuse, j'accuse. Destroy people's lives. simply by accusing them? Not in America. If this is not stopped, who will be next? Round and round it goes. Where it ends, nobody knows.